here, so he's a mature.
He has to marry.
It's good to do good. See, all of a sudden you're marketing him.
Ramatu, I know now the next thing you say is, our printer is a...
How do you know? That's it. That's the problem right now. The printer, it prints the manufacturing date, your expiry date, batch code, everything.
How's that going?
Barcode is going on well, and little by little, we're still advertising. Yeah, we're still advertising and hoping that people, all of you, start bringing in your money, slide into my DM and start placing all your orders, please. We're waiting. Yeah. So,
Auntie,
sister,
in pink. Yeah, you just seem very quiet, like we've gotten to your point. We want to know how your day's going.
Oh, you didn't ask me.
Oh, okay, so we
asked everybody, but you didn't ask me.
Oh,
so I just thought,
my darling Mariam in pink.
As you don't want to hear about my
I am very curious about you.
Before. No problem. So I was able to listen to you. Sometimes you don't need to hear me.
No, we love to hear you. Because I know you will remind us about the environment.
Exactly.
I was going to, but since you know me, I'm stubborn. Since you have said it's going to be
let me interfere a bit. She was so happy yesterday when we brought in the oceanographer guy, the ocean guy yesterday. Yes, she was so happy. Mainly she saw him like about the ocean.
I was excited.
I was excited. My field.
Not for the commission. I was just excited really with our production. I just think that we are making deliberate steps to have those conversations, to have people who would come on the platform to have conversations about climate, about environment, about the ocean. So,
but you're going to stubbornly go somewhere else.
Yes, but she dragged me back. So we just use that, and I really like to hear about your time is going.
Oh yeah,
limited time for banter.
What's going on? Yesterday I spoke at a law conference, and it's one of the shortest speech I've given apart from my TED talk. It was 10 minutes. I was like, 10 minutes.
How did you manage?
I like doing like 13, I like,
talking.
And I just felt, and then the next thing, as I was talking, 3 minutes more. So it was a huge rush, but it was a very different kind of event because usually I go for events that seem very motivational, but this was a law and business event organized by the law firm that represents my company and other companies, and it was just very interesting perspective dealing with technical business knowledge and how important it is to know the law, or even, so I shared my own story of the challenges I've had and the lessons I've learned and the importance of having a lawyer in my business because I was going to sign one contract. They sent it to me. When I said to my lawyer wrote a stinker to that legal firm, like, this is not a contract. And if I didn't have a lawyer out, I just read it and signed. So they did like, it went from 2 pages to like 5 pages just because I had a lawyer. So if you run a business and you are entering into contracts and all of that, you cannot afford to joke with having a legal representative. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. It will still catch you if you disobey. So that's my 2 cents from my conference that I attended yesterday. I'll take a break now. We'll all take a break. Take a deep break, take a sip of our coffee, and then when we return, we'll go through the top stories in the newspaper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Now you can catch up with your favorite programs on TVC. Log on to www.youtube.com/TVC Entertainment. Join the fun.
TVC Communications, Nigeria's leading independent.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We're starting our front page review today with The Nation. Where's the headline? The headline is that Tantita Services, which is owned by Tompolo, alias Tompolo, is celebrating the Delta State governor. But there are other stories that are extremely important, bringing up alternative policies That's from the presidency, as it tells, bring up alternative policies. The presidency tells critics, federal government cautious on state police takeoff. Supporters hopeful as Fubara meets Tinubu. President hosts Governor Adeleke brother, that's and Davido. Obviously, when you are as big as Davido, they'll put your name as part of the headline of being hosted by the president. All right, so what story are we starting with?
I have the presidency yesterday has challenged opposition leaders and other critics of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to articulate alternative solutions to the nation's problems. They advised them to highlight alternative strategies they would propose in contrast to this administration's extensive list of significant achievements currently benefiting Nigerians in real time. They're saying they're frowning at the deliberate attempt to find fault and trade in deceit. The presidency urged the opposition leaders to shun disinformation, desist from spreading fake news, and avoid over-reliance on deceptive artificial AI videos. The presidency also said that or cautioned against the danger of peddling falsehood against the government that is serving Nigerians with diligence. And this was in reaction to a statement by a faction of Afenifere, the pan-Yoruba socio-political group, that had accused the Tinubu administration of economic regression, democratic backsliding, and mismanagement. They said the faction went to press without authorization from the Afenifere leader himself, Paruben Fasorati, who had previously applauded the president for his achievements and offered constructive advice as a Yoruba leader and statesman. So obviously, it seems like there are different factions to that particular pan Yoruba socio-political group, and where it seems the leader has sort of endorsed this administration. There are factions that think otherwise, and so the presidency is saying, see, apart from just being there to just critique and criticize and just be negative, give us alternative strategies. What if this is not working? What do you think would work better? Since we're all trying to make the country work better for all Nigerians.
It's about constructive criticism. So as you're criticizing, be giving us an alternative. What do you think? So there was a visit yesterday of the suspended Rivers State Governor Sim Fubara to the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There was a lot of excitement in Fubara's camp. Yes, said many members of the camp, popularly called the Simplified Family, expressed confidence that the visit to the Ikoyi Lagos home of the president was a signal that the emergency rule was gradually coming to an end. So his loyalist, Izebunwon Ichemate, had to post the photographs of the governor with the president on his verified Facebook wall. And he was urging Fubara supporters to get set for celebration. He posted and he said, this meeting that just happened, though, is going to be loud. The outcome is going to be loud. So a lot of persons were indifferent about it, but the supporters were happy. I think his tenure for the... he's supposed to get back into office from September. I think September. I'm trying to get the actual date. They had hoped that he would return May 29, but that did not happen. The emergency rule was is still in place. So, but hopefully by the time it's ending in September 18, Fubara should be hoping to get back into office as a result of this meeting that they've had. Though we don't know the details of the meeting, but his supporters are really hopeful for him.
The president was very busy yesterday. There was another meeting again.
No, September.
Oh, okay. You had another meeting of the president, I mean.
Yes, so I have the president. They said the president last night hosted the Osun State's governor, Ademole Adeleke, at his Ikoyi private home in Lagos. And he was accompanied by his businessman, that's brother Dr. Adedeji Adeleke, and then the Afrobeat artist, that is David Adeleke, Davido. So they said that details of, it's a very short story. They said details of the
calling Davido. Everyone says Davido.
Yes. They said details of the visit were not immediately made public, but sources familiar with the visit described it as cordial and reflective of the president's inclusive engagement style, particularly with leaders and influential figures across political divides. They said the presence of the popular music star at the meeting sparked widespread interest on social media, with supporters and fans applauding what many see as a symbolic moment of unity and generational bridging. They've not said why the meeting is there, but
no, but it's okay. It's not meant to be a public meeting. They just told us there was a meeting. So
that's
enough. Possibly just went to visit.
His visit,
courtesy
visit. The president had a very busy day yesterday. From seeing Fubara to another. The delegates, he also received the Bill Gates. He received the
delegates.
No. Bill Gates himself had a private visit with the president in his private residence in Lagos.
Bill Gates was in Lagos yesterday.
Yes, so Bill Gates was. You know, you're a billionaire. You just enter private jet.
Fly that thing and just enter.
Apparently, he got an award. The president gave him recognition for his philanthropic and humanitarian works in Nigeria. That was yesterday. It was there's a picture of Bill Gates and the president getting the award, and Bayo Ononuga, the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, posted it as a tweet on X saying that this happened. I know that this same Bill Gates was in Abuja signing MOU too with the minister for the Federal Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy. Nigeria is now launching a partnership where Nigeria will be getting about $7.5 million over a 3-year period for the Nigerian AI hub. So it's expected to help Nigerians with opportunities within the artificial intelligence space, and that's a whole lot of money to be committed. So we should get a recognition for his philanthropic contributions to Nigeria. Moving on to Daily Sun. Major headline: killings. Army chief relocates to Benue, deploys more troops and logistics. SAN petitions Tinubu demands state of military emergency as security worsens. APC rules out automatic tickets for National Assembly members. Tinubu's 2 years achievement supersedes Obasanjo, Buhari, Jonathan, Yar'Adua, others from minister. Please, which minister is that?
Of Information and National Orientation.
Awesome. Then we've taken the story already of Fubara meeting the president in Lagos. So what story can...
Benue killings. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, has appealed to the government and people of Benue State to support the military with credible and timely information to end the attack on innocent citizens of the state by suspected headers and other militia groups. He had met with the state governor yesterday, and as we know, the Chief of Army Staff has relocated to the state as of yesterday, and this follows, as we know, the reports of the incessant attacks and killings that have been ongoing in the state for a while now. He assured the governor of the determination of the Nigerian army to end the senseless killing and destruction of property in the shortest possible time. However, told the governor that the military can't do this alone. It would need the cooperation of the locals to carry out its operations. He says the killings are senseless and said the time has come for people of the state to work as one and support the army and credible information to end the barbaric acts, as soldiers will not be everywhere. You remember yesterday I took another story of another attack, you know, just close to a military checkpoint that happened from beginning to the end, and there was no military intervention. And even though we know that the military cannot be everywhere, they are not God, but we hope that they will be strategically positioned, and it's a good thing to know that the Chief of Army Staff has moved to Benue State. I remember a similar story during the Buhari time, where he had asked the Chief of Army Staff to go there. Months after they asked, the president was shocked that his instruction was not carried out. He didn't move, he didn't go, according to Buhari's instruction. Remember, we talked about it, but this one, he's there and he's asking for the support of the people. Credible intelligence is important, as we see with what NDLE is doing with credible information. That's what will help also here.
But somehow the relocation, like him relocating to such a place, if, for example, something happens in another state, no,
it doesn't matter. There's a crisis here, so that's why he has to deal with it. We'll take a quick break now. When we continue,
army personnel everywhere.
We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll continue with front page review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right.
Has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past few years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company, not just in Nigeria, but throughout continental Africa, to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
Do you think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing the front pages of the papers. We are in the Daily Sun.
Yeah, so the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris, has boasted that the achievements of the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in 2 years has relatively superseded other administrations. He made the assertion during his address at his 2025 Voice of Nigeria Forum in Abuja yesterday. And according to him, the government last week commenced the celebration of the 2nd anniversary of President Tinubu's administration with ample proof of his monumental positive impact, creating room for prosperity and progress. In fact, he says no government has achieved what the Tinubu administration has achieved in the last 2 years. He says if you are in doubt, please check all the successes that the Tinubu administration has been able to achieve in just 2 years. And this is just at its midpoint of his first 4 years in the first instance. So the first courage of the Tinubu administration, it says, was to remove the fuel subsidy, the forex racket, and then the massive investment in rural infrastructure. It says some days ago, the president commissioned the first 30-kilometer Lagos-Calabar coastal highway. We also have the Sokoto-Badagry highway that transverse across 17 states down to the south. In a statement of our unity by connecting people, the 73 dams are also coming along that corridor, which provide opportunities for power generation and agriculture, and will create more jobs for people. He said there's also unprecedented student loan scheme, consumer credit cooperation, presidential initiative on compressed natural gas, a tax reform bill, and many more. He explained that the starting point of Tinubu's administration was rough and challenging, but after the challenges, the country is looking bright because Tinubu is steering, the ship to prosperity, and the prices of food are dropping. So he said the implementation of local government autonomy also was facilitated by the Tinubu establishment of the Ministries of Regional Development and Livestock Development, which were also efforts to provide development across the country. He went ahead, reeling out all the achievements that was done or being done by this administration in just 2 years, and saying that no other administration could boast of achieving this in this short space of time, but that there's more that will be coming. The renewed hope agenda is what we should be looking forward to.
Okay. Do you have a story there? No. Okay, so I have the story on the House of Rep. The National Assembly has initiated a probe into a 5% user charge on the pump price of petrol and diesel in the Federal Road Maintenance Agency Act. So there's a new act. In the statement, the FEMA Act 2007 provides a 5% user charge on pump price of petrol and diesel of which 40% will be accrued to FEMA and 60% to be utilized by the state's road maintenance agency. I did not know. Why are our roads looking the way they are? Yeah. Speaking yesterday at the public hearing organized by the House of Representatives in Abuja, the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Regulatory Authority, Farouk Ahmed, has affirmed that non-implementation of the 5% charge was due to the unavailability of modalities for the collection of the funds. So it is in the Act, but the Act just did not give the details of how the funds be collected. So the chairman of that committee has stated that the implementation of that 5% charge would go down in history as one of the achievements of the 10th House of Representative. I'm wondering if we are already paying it, but it was not remitted, or they will now start charging us 5%. That's I've not been able to. The current press release doesn't contain that. All it contains is the fact that the president is probing that. I mean, the House of Rep is probing that 5%. The Minister for Works, Bello Mohammed Gorin, said that under the visionary leadership of the president, they would, in the renewed up agenda, they would foster economic growth and all of that stuff. But still, we are not addressing if that act had ever been implemented in any form, or we are now going to be imposing a 5% additional levy on the cost of fuel and petrol and diesel going forward. That I'm sure Nigerians will want to clarify. Moving on to Vanguard, major headline: Niger flood, 1,249 communities in 30 states, FCT at risk. That's from the federal government. Says no water was released from Kainji, Jeba Dam. Noted that flood was caused by heavy rainfall heightened by global warming as states take up federal government's challenge. In other news, federal government saved 12 million girls from cervical cancer in 9 months. That's from the First Lady. USSD charges telcos threaten to withdraw services over banks' misinformation. Insecurity, Tinubu Matawale should be commended for reinvigorating Navy. Anti-kidnapping protest, uneasy calm as soldiers, policemen take over Abraka. And Chief of Army Staff Oluyede relocates to Benue with the PSOs. All right, so
so I have the cervical cancer story. They said the First Lady, that's Senator Oluremi Tinubu, on Tuesday said that the Nigerian government has shown that it is possible to eliminate cervical cancer by 2030. Noting that in 2024, it made a breakthrough by launching the HPV nationally, thereby protecting over 12 million girls in just 9 months. And she also said that the success was led by the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, with support from global partners. She also said that she has made a passionate appeal to development partners, private sector players, non-governmental organizations and academic institutions to commit their resources, expertise and innovation to the national campaign to eliminate cervical cancer. She says cervical cancer is a silent killer and one that strikes hardest at the most vulnerable women. Yet this is a cancer that is preventable. You know, I just remember that my daughter recently, she went to collect, she has said because you can start collecting the vaccine from 9 years. So if you haven't collected or your daughter has not collected,
it's free.
Yeah, it's free.
Oh, that's amazing. Those vaccines, I beg. Come on.
Prevention is better.
At least any cancer that has
thing that we not cause.
Moving on to another story that we have. What's happening in Abraka?
Okay, she has a story.
I have a story. So the telecom operators in Nigeria, including MTN, Airtel, Globalcom, and 9Mobile, have threatened to withdraw network support for banks' unstructured supplementary services data, that's the USSD, following what they described as gross misinformation of subscribers on mode of deduction of transaction fees. So as we know, USSD, commonly known as bank transfers, is done through short codes on mobile phones. And the banks yesterday issued a notice to customers that the NCC has directed them to stop deducting charges for USSD transactions directly from customers' accounts, and adding that charges will now be deducted by the telecoms from users' mobile airtime. So the notice from the banks, this is how, well, let me not read it, just go, because this was June 3rd. So going forward, they're saying that going forward, these charges will be deducted directly from your mobile airtime balance, Now, the telecoms are upset. They said swiftly reacted, is how it was put. They said, they spoke under their umbrella body, the Association of Licensed Telecom Operators of Nigeria, ALTON. They said the bank's notice is a gross misinformation deliberately hatched to suit their selfish interests. And therefore they have threatened to withdraw the network support. They said, I don't understand why the banks are twisting agreements and distorting information just to favor their selfish interests. In the first place, the information wasn't a directive from NCC, but a joint regulatory agreement between NCC and CBN, witnessed by telcos and banks. The agreement was that if banks finally cleared all USSD debts owed the telcos by June 2nd, 2025, they are free to migrate to the end-user billing method, so long as the model of migration is transparent and agreed by telcos. The reason for that clause was because telcos insisted that the process of migration is such that will not allow a customer to be billed twice. In other words, that a subscriber would not have his airtime deducted and also have his or her money deducted for the same service from his or her bank. They say as we speak, some of the banks have cleared their debts, but majority are yet to do so.
They have to clear
Even if all the modalities of migrating to end-user billing have been perfectly carried out, the implementation cannot even begin because the banks are yet to clear the USSD debts to telcos. So, story.
Is there technicality?
Yeah. I don't know about technicality. I think so. Why you doing like this?
But the ones that are going to suffer this one, since yesterday I've been struggling to
keep your eyes on what is happening
data with the USSD code. Yes, they don't block everything. They vex.
Oh wow!
Do we have time for my
yes,
story?
Abraka, what's happening
so
there?
there's a silence in Abraka community. That's my university state, Delta State. Yesterday, they said there was hostility on Monday between residents protesting the endless kidnapping happening in the area, and security agents now came to quell the protest and opened fire. You know, so the residents were really upset, saying that the reason they came was to see how they could solve the problem of kidnapping. They've been kidnapping people, kidnapping students. You know, it's a university town, kidnapping students, and then they decided to now do a peaceful protest to say, security agencies are supposed to protect us here. You now come, you are more interested in, you know, telling them to go, dispersing the people that are protesting. So they didn't find it funny. Trust the commander of police in a leading squad of the policeman, that's the commissioner of police in Delta State. He spoke up against it. He has said that they are going to look into the matter, trying to calm everybody down. The SUG president also spoke up and said that they are going to give like the police security agencies an ultimatum, let them do something about the kidnapping that's happening in the town, or else they would, you know, go into the street and do more protest. But they need to, that's a university town. They need to, you cannot send your child to school and then you're afraid that
you end up paying ransom. Yeah, would also hold the governor up. You see, the thing is, we need to, like we've been saying since we've been talking about this second year, we need to be holding governors accountable. When things go wrong in your state, before we go to president, let's hold governor. Before we go to IGP, let's go to Commissioner of Police. Nigerian Tribune is our final paper for today. I'll just read the headlines, so we'll be taking a story. Benue killings. Army chief moves in, deploys more troops and logistics. Man falls from Cocoa House topmost floor. Ouch. Then we've taken the story on USSD banking charges to be deducted from airtime, and Nigeria's 1 trillion ambition at risk without policy stability. That's from the chairman of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Mokwa flood. Federal government blames climate change and unregulated buildings. Damage is devastating. That's from the Niger State governor. Once again, our heart goes out to all of those affected, and we really pray for them because it doesn't look good. I'm not sure. Economic reforms, painful but necessary, and they had the picture of the president in between Bill Gates and guess who? Aliko Dangote.
That's also his best friend. Anyway.
Yes, the outside.
Bill Gates is also his best
yes, so
hey,
well, hey, that's not our hot topic. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll go into our hot topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Let's make money so that you'll be my best friend, billionaire best friend, billionaire best friend.
Sweet. We need to be best friends.
Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Does your toothpaste give you complete fresh protection? New Close-Up Toothpaste Complete.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regular,
result. Let me go and look for my jam result. So
my 280 was 320. I suppose don't be one medical.
At this point, I contest my jam result.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
Yeah, that's all we can take. Ejeki, close the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, number one, Unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shiny, yeah. Say recap done, and it's time for number one on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now, his name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
Another.
For dessert and a bit of nightcap, we have the nighttime and online specials.
I want to start the gym, yeah, but do you know one thing that's actually keeping me back?
You should start the gym though, you're getting fat. Cricket.
She says she does pole dancing to empower women.
What's the difference?
There's a difference.
That's what I'm saying. So pole dancer,
you're already almost naked. You're already almost naked.
No, it's the empowerment for me.
Sex can make your relationship better.
No.
Sex can never be overrated.
It is needed.
Especially when it's good sex too.
Almost every guy has been with somebody's girlfriend.
But they are for all of us now.
That's why you're still single.
I would not agree or disagree with that because I don't want to get into trouble. I have a home to go to.
Your next question.
Oh, you ready to fail?
Who is the better? You see us. What is it?
That woman.
Bam! Yeah,
Today we'll go here.
Hey.
Let's catch up now.
I'm sure we've been able to satisfy your cravings, yeah? Stay tuned to TVC Entertainment for pure entertainment.
Brothers and sisters, embarking on the sacred journey of Hajj, we celebrate you. May your pilgrimage be safe, your prayers accepted, and your hearts be filled with peace. And may this sacred experience strengthen your faith and inspire compassion, humility, and hope. Hajj Mabrur, may you return renewed and blessed.
I left my daughter in the care of a governess. She is white. Mariana is well aware she can't be a...
TVC Communications, Nigeria's leading independent broadcast company, has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past few years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company not just in Nigeria but throughout continental Africa to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
Do you think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regulars.
So let me go and look for my jam results. So
My 280 was 320. I suppose don't be one medical.
At this point, I contest my jam results.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
That's all we can take. Ejeki, close the show, you for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, number 1 unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shine, 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 shiny, yeah. Say recap done, and it's time for number 1 on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now, his name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
Another.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. The Ondo State Police have apprehended 5 individuals linked to the assault on Mr. Alexander Rotifa, Vice Principal of Complete Child Development College in Akure. The suspects includes the mother of the student, Mrs. Dorcas Ashije, who allegedly cheated during the WAEC WASI using an Android phone. Rotifa had stopped the student from cheating, confiscating the phone. The incident sparked a heated argument, and the student reported it to his parents, who purportedly hired thugs to brutally assault Rotifa. What are your thoughts on this story? I think we took it in the newspaper a few days ago, and we'd like to hear your opinion. The good thing is there's a bit of progress on that particular development. You can join the conversation by calling us on 020-1635-2013 or 090-2416-3440. You can also tweet to us at x.com. I haven't figured it out, but you know where you can tweet. x.com, hashtag YourViewTVC, and we are also streaming live on YouTube where you can get in touch with us. So now this story was very heartbreaking. You know, it was very heartbreaking because here is a school. There are some schools that they do special center, and we already complain that this special center thing needs to end. Then you now have a school where they are doing the right thing, and the person now gets beaten for doing the right thing. That's this particular Mr. Rotifa. How do you feel hearing the fact that suspects have been arrested and they seem to be progressing towards justice for Mr. Rotifa?
Yeah, I'm happy because it was quite scary that the police were not even able to save Mr. Rotifa when those thugs brought him out of their police van, beat him up, and then he went to the hospital, and I didn't hear much of what the police did to deter them. You know, probably they were not armed or they didn't have enough manpower. We don't know how many thugs they were that attacked the police van. So I'm happy that the government is stepping into it. I'm happy that people have been arrested. I would like to hear more of the sort of prosecution those people get. I would also like to have an understanding of how that town is being controlled, because it seems like the thugs actually have power in the town to have the boldness to stop a police van, you know, for just a minor, as far as I'm concerned, it was a minor issue. You malpractice, and then we confiscated your phone, and then it blew into something where somebody has to land in the hospital. That's on one end. Secondly, for me, I would like parents to pick a side, pick a hustle. Do you want to train your child, or you don't want to train your child? We have parents who, you see all the special centers we're talking about, I mostly would blame many parents, because they are the ones that understand that their children are not reading enough, and they don't care. Their own is, we can gather money, pay for special center, pass and go into school. They are not even paying attention to, okay, what's the quality of these results that you're taking into the university? When you come out, what value are you coming out from the university with? So we are all working hand in hand to ensure, as long as you get into school, find your way. And these are students that when I get into the universities, they cannot read and understand. They are now bribing lecturers, sleeping with lecturers to be able to get their grades. When they come out, See, I'm trying to employ people, right? Unfortunately, sorry, I have to share this. I've had interviews with about 11 young people to come and take up some roles in my company. I did not see one. I'm starting another process again next week. I did not see it's bad. So I think chat GTP, or what do they call that? GPT would help them do their CV. Because when I'm reading the CV and I'm seeing I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I'm good at this, and I'm expecting that when you come, at least you can even sell yourself small. Simple, practical question. How do you market this? Or how do you do this? Or how do you do that? The person is lost. There's no confidence. There's nothing there. And they are graduates. It's not like I wanted to employ people I don't want to pay well low. They are graduates. So we have a problem in our hands. And unfortunately, the parents of these children are the ones aiding and abetting them. That woman should be ashamed of herself. Back in the day, his own mother would have called for her. They would drag her, remove her wrapper, and flog her. She should be ashamed of herself. Your child committed malpractice in school, that you should cover your head in shame. You are fighting and beating up a principal for seizing the phone. What is your child doing with a phone inside examination hall if something is not wrong with you in the first place? So parents need to pick a side. Do we want a better country? Do we want our children to have proper values? If we don't want, then it's okay, because I don't really understand what's going on.
I'm laughing because this is advice is based on the presumption that every parent has values. That our values are the same because we have all given birth, because we are parents.
So true.
Yeah, we have different human beings in this world with different values, and what's important. First of all, just to go back to what the police have done so far, because I took the story from the papers when it happened, and we were all shocked by the fact that he was dragged out of the police van whilst police officers were with him, and he was assaulted. Apart from being beaten so badly that he ended up in hospital, he didn't go back to his house in fear of being targeted, and you know. And also the school now had to even invest in more security to protect the students while they were still writing the exams. And in the newspaper report, I remember saying that they haven't heard anything from the school. So it's important to be able to say that the silence didn't mean that the police was not working, that they had gone ahead to make this arrest. So that's good to know. We'd like to also know if Mr. Rotifa is in safe hands, you know, and if the children were able to continue writing their exams without being attacked. So well done to the police for doing this. You know, the reason I want to highlight is that many times we forget when they do right. When they do wrong, that we say, you know, we talk about it. Concerning that community too, I was of the opinion that probably that community is under siege by a syndicate or a band of influential,
negatively influential people.
You know, sometimes you have like smaller communities, they have these sort of people that are known as the lords in those areas. They determine how everything goes. They tax the people, they harass people, assault people. So if that is the case, I hope that the police is not just concentrated on just this one incident. Just make sure that that community is safe from people like that. Just get them out of the community, lock them up, whatever.
Or use this as an opportunity to now deal with them.
Yes, and to deal with them, because this time they were caught red-handed. Now, for parenting, as I said earlier, we have different kinds of human parents. You are sitting at home, you have sent your own child to school expecting to do well. Another person did not even send the child to school. The child will find their way to school by themselves, take care of themselves, come home, give you all sorts of things. They collect, do you understand? They collect from their children. And so she may even think that, this boy that is providing all these things for me and now collecting his phone, let me go and fight over it. Do you understand? People are just weird in many ways. But also, it's an important time to highlight illiteracy and the fact that sometimes the impact of just allowing many of our communities just go without proper education has its impact. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, it's not just, it's important that we have values. Lack of education or Western education should not take away your values. But I'm also saying that lack of education also has a way that it impacts us negatively. We don't even know what's important. Some people don't even understand that you have to work it's not the important. It's that the work that you have put in. The result is just to show that how much you know, how much you have worked to achieve, the number. Some people just think, give me the certificate, then I'll take this certificate, go to a person's office. As long as I show them the certificate, I should get a job. But they don't understand that what is most important is to see that the certificate is just to say, I worked hard, I know these things, I have experience, I know what to do, But we're so engrossed and we're so fixated on getting certificates, however we get it, because Nigerians, especially workplaces, as we've heard, they are only interested in certificates. It's maybe private institutions that would ask more of you. They want you to, they want you to be able to show that what you have just presented on paper, that you can
have
do
the skill.
Many government workers, I'm sorry, I'm not calling out federal, I don't mean to call out, but I have heard of those who work in federal government parastatals. There's so many people who have presented papers, who can barely read or write, and they're in government institutions. And you're wondering, how did this person get in there? And it's just because certificate is more important than work.
And the skill. And
finally, I might take it too much time, call. So, and finally, when you go through school, when you're handed a certificate, it's not just about what you have, it's not just the book, it's also on character. The certificate is supposed to say that you had the brain, you also had the character. So that's why.
The values.
Yes. So it's important that parents know that it's not just about getting a paper at the end of the day.
So maybe this
when she mentioned character, I just remembered one time like that. My sister brought her result home, and my dad, she did very well academically, but punctuality, all those things. They now wrote uncultured. Oh my God, my dad,
my father would kill me.
Mad. I'm telling you, they flogged. There was nothing they didn't do to her that day.
So
because of that
uncultured.
You understand that part of
even read uncultured.
Yeah,
so
so my dad was upset. I was just wondering. I was like, well, she did well in her school, in academics. Now why are you looking at the other side? So for this, I'll say this about the police stuff and everything. Yeah, I think at these special centers we should start having police on ground instead of when an incident happens. That's when you start calling police and police will start coming down and everything. That timing before the police will get there, a lot will have happened. So we should always have, this should tell us, this should educate people who have all those kind of special centers to be ready.
This was not a special center.
It's not. It's a school. It's a full school. And this school obviously has values that it goes against cheating. And so they want to ensure that the children that come out of their school do not imbibe cheating as a value. I'll still come back to you. You know what I'll do? We'll take a break. When really we come back like this, you'll be the one that I will come to. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
TVC Communications, Nigeria's leading independent broadcast company, has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past few years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company not just in Nigeria but throughout continental Africa to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
Do you think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regular.
So let me go and look for my jam results.
My 20 was 320. I suppose don't be one medical.
At this point, I contest my jam results.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing the challenge with Mr. Rotifa, who upheld the law by ensuring that one of his students does not cheat with an Android phone, and he was beaten, but thankfully the police is handling it. Ramatu.
Okay, so like I said, there should be heavy police next time when they are writing exams like that, so that's in case
exactly
policemen. So
now one kill our
so this is it. When I heard the story, the first question that came to my mind is I always ask this question: why do children? Why do they always have a need to cheat? And so so I now realize that a lot of us, we fear that cheating. We fear we fear exams. So how do we make sure that our children don't fear exams and everything? So I now realized, I spoke to my daughter. My daughter just finished writing SSC. She's writing SSC. And I sat her down and I was like, we need to accept that failure is part of life, right? And I told her, okay, this is it. If you write these exams and you fail, this is what's going to happen. It's not the end of the world. This is what this is what's going to happen. First of all, study more. The next yes, we'll just study more and we'll get somebody to help you through. We'll just do 1 or 2 things like that. And then secondly, if you pass the exams, that's a good thing. But I made sure that the way I spoke to her is not for her to go into the hall thinking that, okay, it's okay for her to fail, it's okay for her to still pass.
You have to balance that one.
Yes, so I had to make sure that happens. So I think we parents, we need to accept that our children can fail at any point in time, but that's not the end of the world. We can make sure that, we can devise ways and means of how to make them comfortable in failing and also comfortable at the same time in passing, so that they'll be able to maneuver their ways through life and be able to, not look forward to cheating. Because this cheating thing, most children, they always have it because it comes out from fear, fear of failure and all of that. Yeah. And then for the thugs that need all of this, is me, I know that a lot of us, we know that they are thugs. There are some people that know the thugs, they exist. I remember one of the controllers of the community. Yes, I know one of my staff. He said when he was coming to work, they seized his phone, and he said he's going to go and collect the phone. He called me. He said he's going to be absent from work, that he wants to go and get his phone. They know them, so he went to the Oga of the thugs and went and met him and said, they collected my phone at so time. So I want it back. And this is the, he described the guy's face. And they brought back the phone. They gave him back his phone. So you understand, but he acted as soon as possible. When it happened that morning, by afternoon, he had already gone. He was already looking for all of this. So the thing is, how do we get rid of those kind of people from our society?
So if you ask government those kind, if you ask the security officials, they will tell you. They'll tell you that even in New York,
so they have
are thugs. Even in, that's what they'll say. I don't usually like that answer because we mustn't take the approach that there is evil everywhere, so we must live with the evil. We must decide this is what our society is, and this is how they are. I can never forget. When I went to Vietnam, I was talking to someone and I realized that even in the market, even on the streets, everybody can like read. I speak into my phone. I show them the phone. They read and answer me. They said that. It was in, I think it was in the 90s, the government made it was declared that every single Vietnamese must be able to read and write. Yeah. Are there illiterates in America? Yes. Are there illiterates in London? Yes. But one country, after a terrible war, said that everybody must do their rights. So we cannot say that because there are thugs in developed country, we should live with the thugs we have. We can, as a society, decide that they can live with this kind of thing. No, we will
have
not.
To make a change. Yeah.
So that is on the side of the statement of that there are always going to be thugs around us. They're always going to be thugs because we permit thugs to be. Regarding the very solid point that Mariam made concerning values, I feel that we don't talk about it enough. Parents, we need to be a value-driven society, so that when we, even in your illiteracy, you know value. You know that this is what value means. This is, I will not put risk on somebody else's life because my child needs to pass the exam. A lady last year, I know her. Her senior sister works with me. She wanted to do. She wrote JAM to be able to study medicine in Unilag, and she got 260 something, 260 or 280. It wasn't up to 300, and he said, Unilag, if you're not over 300, you won't get in. That, so she should try UI. So she went to UI, wrote the post-UME, passed the post-UME, back and forth. She didn't get into the university. She wrote WAEC, she wrote the JAM again this year, and she was among those that they had to resit because there were technical issues. She resat the exam, and she got she got, I think it was barely shy of 350. But last year was 2 something. And when we had the conversation, I told my son, I said, does she have a phone? He said, yes. I just gave her my former phone. I said, take that phone from her. These are the, she's on TikTok. I said, let her focus that I'm going to do this thing. I'll study. Subject, so she went into those JAM study centers, and she passed in a very, very good way. So it is possible for someone, when she was saying, let the child know that you can fail and all of that. I didn't like it at first because that I'm facing them, I'm saying, this is 80 something. I don't want 80 something. I don't want anything less. I don't want to see any C in your results. That's the conversation we're having. But because I felt they can, if I push them, they can achieve more. But if they bring the C, I'm still going to hug them. You still hug them. I'll still hug them and welcome them. So, but I think that balance is very important.
Yeah, let me say something, taking from, I like Miriam's angle on illiteracy and the fact that, we've talked about the values. Not every parent has the sort of values that we assume everybody should just have because you're a parent, right? We know how many people had their children. Some didn't even know they were thrown into it. Some just believe that once I born the child, God will take care of the child. Anyhow, God wants to take care of the child, that's on the child, right? So we have a lot of parents who are illiterate. We also have parents who have gone to school, but they did not let the school pass through them, right? They are there. Now, we have also lost the value of education, also because of how we have emphasized paper qualification. Once you're a graduate, all is well with the world, right? We no longer pay attention to what education is supposed to symbolize for us, which is your expansion of your horizon, your ability to see a problem and solve the problem. That's what education is supposed to do for us. But we have not placed emphasis on that. We have left it to just that paper qualification. So whether you're seeing the problem, you don't have the capacity to solve the problem, as long as you have the certificate, it's all well and good for us. Now, you also talked about the fact that many people fear exams. Okay, yeah.
Welcome to the show. Good morning, Gani.
Can I make my contribution?
Yes, you can. You are live.
Okay, good. Everything that's been about this work is totally different from everything that has happened last year. I was on social media stuff. I don't really want to mention the platform. That was the day before yesterday. The girl was the examination or making a video. Why not submit when she has not submitted her paper? I think that was English.
So that means she had her phone during the exams.
It doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. For example, now exam, my official see that video. That whole center is going to be, the result from all that center is going to be seized totally.
And it will affect
that we can mobilize the center and make that. This thing is just really annoying to watch. But the most annoying part is that you still have the mind to be tagging people online.
Values. Thank you so much, Ganio. I think we'll talk about it because that's
taking phones into the exam hall.
No, it's like there are many issues going on. So you have phones during, you've not submitted your papers. That already is wrong. It means the invigilators did not do their work. The school failed. The adults within that environment failed.
Phones into exam halls.
Another thing is the person did not even know how bad what they've done is.
Yes, wow.
The person posted it and was tagged so that all those bloggers
will pick it and they start making noise.
And the impact on other people, because like you said, when WAEC finds, if WASI finds this out, they will flag that entire school. So
and then every other person there will be marked wrong or cancelled. Yeah, but let me wrap up what I was trying to say. So Ramatu talked about the fear of writing exams. I used to have such fears, right? And those fears came from a lack of foundational grounding in the subjects. When I remember in GSS 3 where I failed mathematics, and there were talks of, okay, there's a way they can waive it for you. Maths was the only subject that you failed. And my father said, never.
If she fails,
that maths, you will pass it. So you will have to repeat the class. Not recite the maths, because I had an option to recite the maths. Many of my friends who failed maths recited and moved on. My father said I had to repeat the full class. And I repeated GSS 3. It was the worst.
I can feel it.
I'm still feeling it. It was the worst time of my life. All my juniors, I was 9th class with them.
Oh yeah, you're supposed to become senior.
Yes, I was looking forward to being a senior, but he insisted. And after so many years, I was grateful that he did, because he now got me to pay attention to the mathematics, and I got my grounding back. So many times, some of our children this age now will not have these issues of fearing examinations because they are already being grounded in the subjects from time to time. We're following up with them. We're paying attention to them. I have always mentioned it here that I never knew that when you come back from school, you're supposed to do assignments. Yes, in secondary school, the whole of secondary school, till it was time to write exams. I never knew that you are supposed to have your notes. By the end of the term, my school bag is empty. All my notes are lost, So the only way I was passing the examinations was because I was quite auditory and kinesthetic. So there were some courses that I've heard the teacher say it, I will remember. There's some courses that, subjects that I was naturally interested in and gifted in. It was easy to go through. Yes, I don't get notes to go through it. So I was able to. But when it now came to the practical subjects, and then they catch me, like maths, because I did not sit down to apply it, I will now be caught. So if we can pay attention to stage by stage of every child, they will not have. What is fear of exams? You are not sure you will pass, and you are not thinking, okay, who can help me? What can I get? Can I copy my notes? Can I hide my book?
They go into
can I
their
speak?
exams with
Confidence.
Like,
they don't know. Yes,
I've studied.
The truth is, they don't have fear of failure because they will remember.
Understand the subject.
They are grounded in it. So the form of education we should have, and we should also pray that schools pay attention to. It's not about just passing the students. They have to be grounded in. I've told you, my children always do year 6. My first daughter did year 6 twice because she got to an age where she aced it and passed. And when I was changing her school, they said she wasn't up to that particular age. So
she did the year 6 again.
Should I allow her go? They can allow her go because she passed. And I said no. There's a form of maturity that I want. When my son was moving to the same school, they tested him. His grades were good, but when he came to that school, they tested him, and the teacher called me and said, the examiner called me and said, there are some foundational gaps in certain subjects. We can take him to the next class if you want, but it will catch up with him. Let him retake this particular class so that he's grounded in. Now, when I see their results, I'm excited because they know. But tomorrow they will not be
paper. It's not audio.
It's not
Let me take this call. Chris, welcome to the show. Good morning. I'm so sorry I kept you waiting for long.
So I remember one time there was this we're writing exams, and then I saw the other person that sat close to me was cheating. That one brought the whole textbook. He kept it under his table and was just, and I was just looking at him. I was like, I now saw his writing paper. He wrote here, front, back, everywhere. Like, God, one night, this one has passed that course and everything. Only for after the exams, after some time, they now called him. They called him out and they were like, they know that he cheated.
Oh, he copied it verbatim.
He was copying, and he now copied, as we discussed in the last chapter.
Hey! Oh my God!
As we discussed in the last chapter,
he copied
verbatim. That was how they caught him. This one.
Is that how? If I was his lawyer, I can defend that.
How will you defend it?
I'm so photographic that I
you remember what happened. Let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll continue this conversation, and I'll be coming to Mariam. We'll dig deep on values and how impactful it is when we have it and when we don't have it. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Close the show,
Ladies and gentlemen, #1 unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shine, 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 shiny, yeah. Say recap done, and it's time for #1 on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now. His name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
Another.
For dessert and a bit of nightcap, we have the nighttime and online specials.
I want to start the gym, yeah? But do you know one thing that's actually keeping me back? You should start the gym to get fat. Cricket.
She says she does pole dancing to empower women.
What's the difference? There's a difference.
That's what I'm saying. So pole dancer,
you're already almost naked. You're already almost naked.
No, it's the empowerment for me.
Sex can make a relationship better.
No.
Sex can never be overrated.
It is needed.
Especially when it's good sex too.
Almost every guy has been with somebody's girlfriend.
But they're for all of us now.
That's why you're still single.
I would not agree or disagree with that because I don't want to get into trouble. I have a home to go to.
Your next question.
Oh, you ready to fail?
Who is the person that used to sus? What is his name?
That woman.
Bam! Bam!
Yeah, today we'll go here.
Hey!
Let's catch up.
I'm sure we've been able to satisfy your cravings, yeah? Stay tuned. Entertainment for pure entertainment.
Now you can catch up with your favorite programs on TVC. Log on to www.youtube.com/TVC Entertainment. Join the fun.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We'll continue with Ramatu's story about the person that said as we discussed.
So I think I have a problem with the parenting of these days, the way we bring up our kids and all. So there was this, there's this rush. I don't know where we're rushing to. You find out that some children are really struggling, and then there's this competition between parents. They're like, my child is doing very, very well in school. He's doing, integrated science from primary school, And me, I was like, my child will do year 6 because I don't think my child is ready for just 1. Yes, the child may be doing well academically, but when you talk about maturity to be able to, because me personally, I wanted my kids to go to boarding school. So if they're going to go to a boarding school, I have to make sure that they are okay and everything. So that they don't go in and start struggling. There are a lot of children who go into schools, they start struggling, they can't cope, they can't manage themselves and all. So that competition, we need to look into it. Unlike those days when we're growing up, if you notice, it was a community, we're brought up, it was a community, help and effort and everything, that all of us, we helped in bringing up a child. If a child does something wrong, we all reprimand that child and all. And then you now find out that there are some children already before me, I was like, by the time my child is in, finishes SS3, that's when I'm going to give my child a phone. If you come back during holidays, you can have your phone during holidays, but you don't take it to school. But when you belong to some WhatsApp group, school WhatsApp group, you find out that some children go to school with their phones. And then when the child is with that particular child is with your phone, you find out that your child will come and be putting pressure on you. Mommy, this person has phone. This person has phone. Mommy, this person. And I will tell them, no, I am not Diola's mom. I am this person's mom.
I hope it's not a real Diola you're calling
her. Diola's mom, you have been called out.
No, it's not Diola's
mom. You're so specific.
So, and I'm like, I'm not this. But you find out that you see some parents arguing, no, it's okay. The phone is okay for them. It's right for them to have phone at this point.
That's where I wanted us to go to.
So this thing, and then you now, your child that goes to school without phone, how do you now help that child cope with those ones who have
We discuss all of that.
Yes.
Let me take this call. Welcome to the show. Good morning. Olatunde, are you there?
Yes, good morning.
Awesome. Yeah, you're live.
No, Olatunde, Olajide.
Olajide. Okay.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Yeah, I think I like what you guys are doing. It's a great one. So, very quickly to the topic on the deterioration of education in Nigeria. I think this has been on for very long. It's been on for very long. I remember as far back as 20 years ago, or about 23 years ago, I was in my final year in secondary school, somewhere around Keja. And within that community, it was strange to people that some people in secondary school were asked to repeat SS3, that's in my secondary school. And it became a news around Ikeja at that time, and a lot of people were saying all sorts about the school. But the funny thing is that every other school around that environment used to, how do I put it now, they admit students into SS2 or SS3. And why are students going there? They are going there so that they can pass. That's just so that they can pass. Now, it's not about the students now, it's about the parents and the school.
The system.
And that still happens till today. Everybody is about pass. Nobody is about the value that you get from the school. So it's not wrong that people say that Nigeria will not change until people are ready to change. Yeah. So the change has to be a conscious thing, not parents saying, I want my child to pass and do better than my neighbor. So I need to take him to a school where they would facilitate.
Arrange it.
Pass. Yes, they arrange it. The government needs to do something. The law enforcement needs to do something. The school needs to do something. Yeah. It's so bad that everything is going wrong, then education itself is going wrong. Yeah. I think the solution to this is to first ban anything called special center. Yeah. There's really no need for anything called special center. Now, I think that is taken away. And every other thing will take shape when it comes to education. It's irritating that when you get to some schools, 100-level students cannot properly articulate themselves. Yeah.
It shows the foundational problems. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Olajude. Thank you for the solution. Risi was like, where are the special centers? I said, they do. They are advertising on Instagram. They advertise on Facebook. Like you pass. Special. Yes, this they will make it look like it's a coaching that they will guarantee you through the training that you would pass. But they will train you, but they also help you to with the answers, ensure that everybody passes when you go through those programs. I do believe that it is something that should be banned, but there are already systems in place. When they find out you falsified your results, even as far back as secondary school, it nullifies every other thing you pile up on it. So that happens, but it's not everybody that, when it happens, we don't announce it as such, so people don't know that there's gravity to that boycotting. But values.
What you just said, I remember in the bank, when I worked at the bank, 2 people who came the same year as me were let go. And as you said, everything, when it comes to things like that, it's quite hush-hush. One of them did not even send the bank work. He knew everyone. You know how some people have the personality, you know everyone, but would never do the work. He was quite popular with his superiors as well as his colleagues. Did not do the work. One day we just didn't see him, and we heard that they had done their vetting. HR would do their vetting. And sometimes it would take you like a year. You'd have gone through like a year or 2 years thinking you have escaped. And then they just send you a letter to say, we're unable to verify this, verify that. Even NYSC as well, that has happened. But I was just going to say about the attitude you know, that we have now, that is almost become entrenched in our culture. This behavior for wanting things easy.
Yeah.
Schools, you know, we're talking about schools admitting children much younger than they are because they just want your money. We know people like that. We know people who have applied to some specific schools who have said, we can't let you in because you have to be a certain age. They take them to another school because this one will take you. Then I remember this conversation where I'd heard schools had stopped asking children to repeat
classes.
Because when you do that, parents will take their children out and put them in another school and take what the school feels that they've taken the money, they're losing money, and put them in schools that will take them anyways. And so I guess schools also start rationalizing. If the parent thinks it's fine, what is my own? I will just
have values.
Yeah, of course, but we're just telling you what had happened over the years that caused this. Then the one that shocked me the most was that I would be talking to I talked to a few parents, and I found out that these special centers, fake results, that the parents were involved, that they know about it, that they are even angry if the thing did not work out well.
Yeah, they paid for it.
I'm like, when did we get to the point? It used to be a child would do it because the child is not really mature, the child is still making mistakes, the child is growing up, does not understand life. But now the adult is the one that does this. Where are we? And then, you know, that's where our issues are, and we have to rethink.
You know, in rounding off, once again, I would say that I'm really happy that they've arrested 5 people involved, and we will continue to talk about this story. We would highlight it as justice gets done. So well done, Ondo State. Well done, the police command in Ondo State, for what you've done so far. We would like to see this to a conclusive end where these people are prosecuted for the exam malpractice as well as the thuggery, you know, that took place to Mr. The vice principal that was involved. I also feel that we need, those of us that have values, owe it to the environment to get that herd mentality, herd immunity by impacting that value on the next person, because sometimes people don't know. You're saying that your child doesn't have a phone, so my kids don't have a phone, so I had to tell the parent why they should take the phone back from that child. It wasn't a comfortable conversation. Thankfully, the person appreciated. I don't know if the person will end up doing it.
Thankfully.
But we would, because if you don't share the knowledge, some people don't know. Some people feel like, I want to be able to call my child, I want to be able to call me. Okay, you can get them a small phone that is not a smartphone. So I think it's important that we help one another, and that's why one of the reasons we're discussing this on the show, so that parents would understand the impact. If your child does not pass the exam by their own effort, if you pay their way through primary school and secondary school and university, there will be a point in their life that you cannot pay their way through. They need to develop that grit, that ability, that maturity to handle challenges when they come. Your job is to support them, not to enable them to be weaklings and just get certification, just certification case sick. So let's be a brother's keeper, and this clap for the school. That school did so well in
Mr. Rotifa.
Mr. Rotifa, we celebrate you. I will celebrate every other person like Mr. Rotifa in all the schools who gets insulted for upholding values. We celebrate you. For every teacher upholding values, we celebrate you. You are doing well, and don't be scared of doing it. By the grace of God, you will not enter Mr. Rotifa's case. That's how we can take on this segment. Take a break and we return. The show continues. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Hey, my people, I greet you plenty. My name is Nachika Okeke. My name is Uwi Balogun.
My name is Damilola Banire.
My name is Moyo Faraway Ahmed. If you also call me Moyo, listen. And this na Abigail. And I dare on top of your view pigeon. I'm going to bring you bass, boost.
I don't get person will be single mother before. He carry another man show say now my husband be this.
This now wetin you want.
After that day, the man
you go see him again.
If you snooze, you lose. If you miss this show, you miss out. On top this our show, I not dey gree for anybody.
When did they find the husband? You not see sign say the guy smart, you don't vex, don't give signs.
If they look for person we will give them to you, fact as he be. Men no they ever get force. If baby not dey for her, na the woman.
Talk no dey be person, you make person no fit talk true inside. But for this country, we not say if we open court in the morning, waiting no good, no good.
Me and my sisters, hey, we go tanda gidigba for inside studio to give una all the latest information.
But we no even take responsibility for the children. Please the man.
And that's some boy
Victoria.
TVC Communications, Nigeria's leading independent broadcast company, has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past 3 years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company not just in Nigeria but throughout continental Africa to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
Think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regulars.
So let me go and look for my jammies.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. She's the Honorable Commissioner for the Ministry of Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment, Lagos State. And she was appointed to serve in September 2023 following a multifaceted career with over 2 decades experience spanning across strategy, performance, management, finance, change management, culture transformation, communications, sustainability, and corporate affairs. Welcome with us, Folashade Ambrose. Welcome to the studio, to our new studio. You've been with us before.
I have.
Welcome to our new studio.
Congratulations. Thank you. Really impressive.
We'd like you to join the conversation by calling us on 020-1635-2013 or 090-2416-3440. We'd like to hear from you. So generally, we want you are a woman we love. You know, so we are generally trying to get to know how life has been since our last conversation with you, and being in politics and how all of that has impacted on your life and all of that. Before we then ask what you have done, in your position. So I'd like to just start off by asking how you've been since you've gotten into, you've been in private sector a lot. This is you in the public eye. Yes. How has it been?
First of all, thank you very much for having me. Morning, ladies. I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you to your producer and your entire team. What has it been like? It's been an honor. It's been intense. This is Lagos, after all. And we all know, you know, the size, depth, and impact Lagos makes.
So I'm going to pause you just a second because we have a live stream going on that is supposed to start at on the TVC News platform. So we will still be live on YouTube. That's TVC Entertainment on YouTube as well as on GOTV, but we're going off live on TVC News because we have the governor of Delta State, Governor Sheriff Oborevori. He's commissioning some medical equipment and multi-intercity road in Warri South local government. That is going on right now. So they are taking over from us on TVC News while we continue the conversation with you on TVC Entertainment. Sorry for the break, but you have the floor, man. This is Lagos, you were saying. It's different. It's big.
Yes, it is. And as I said, it's intense. It's been an honor to serve. And there are a lot of interventions and initiatives that one is really trying to lead under the able leadership of Mr. Governor Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu. So yes, I'm really happy and honored, as I said, to be, you know, leading the ministry at such an important time.
Yeah. So, what is the strategy that is driving your ministry? What are some of the things that you set out to do when you got into the appointment? And so far, have you been able to sort of achieve them?
Yes. Thank you. Good question. The last time I was here, it was really about setting the foundation and actually having clarity of purpose.
Yes.
It's just like when I use analogies then, I'm going to start using them again now. It's like driving a car and not having a destination. So that's been very clear. And it's really threefold about driving economic prosperity and growth, focusing on trade and strengthening the organized private sector through MSMEs, through nanos, which are the solopreneurs, through industrialization, and essentially also women. And also startups, I can't forget that.
Yes.
And so what have I been doing since then? I'm happy to come back here and share some updates.
Okay, go ahead.
And a few of them are very, very clear. But I'll contextualize first, because when we are talking about Nigeria, it's really important to really understand that 90% of the income that is derived in Nigeria as a country is oil-based, and out of that, we can actually say that 60% of that is actually coming from Lagos State. Now, when you take that into context, it's really important that as a Ministry of Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment, we are focusing to ensure that we continue to enhance the IGR, the GDP, etc. And so working with MSMEs is one of the key areas that we're focusing on, and also working with a number of businesses in order for them to continue to thrive and grow some of the key foci points. Now, having said that, it's really important to also understand that my mandate really, as I mentioned, is about driving the prosperity and the growth and trying to, you know, ensure that that grows as well. And so a number of focused interventions are very clear. How can we try and ensure that we continue to allow these businesses to thrive? And when we look at the overall population as a whole, clearly there's a dichotomy between the informal and the formal sector. What do I mean by that? We're talking about a staggering distinction of 72% and 28% being the formal, being informal, and also 28% being the formal sector. So how do we shift those informal sectors who actually are the engine of the economy? They're the nanos. They're the ones that are actually driving. And again, I go back to my analogy, when you're driving a car, can a car move without an engine?
Not at all.
These nanos, these solopreneurs are the engine of the economy. So how can we really try and move them into the formal sector? How can we ensure that they're moved into the tax bracket? How can we ensure that they're actually being acknowledged and included, financial inclusion in the financial industry as well? How can we also ensure that we're enabling them to thrive and grow and be able to export, for instance, in that sector? So one of the interventions that we took, and that's really why I'm happy to share with you here today, that we launched the, or should I say, Mr. Governor, Babajide Olusola launched the Lagos State Access to Finance for SMEs through Cooperatives program. And so this is what we launched, and that was launched a few weeks ago, and it was a tremendous success. Why? Because when you look at the traditional modes of borrowing, first and foremost, they're double digits.
Yes.
we're talking about nanos here.
Yeah.
Informal sector.
Yes.
Almost 80% of them. That's one. Number two, there's also the traditional criteria. Collateral. From where? Do you understand? And I also work and engage with a lot of the business member organizations as a ministry, because I drive policy as well. The likes of Lagos State Chamber of Commerce, the likes of Manufacturing Associations of Nigeria, Association of Small Businesses, etc., etc., etc. And one of their pain points when I listen to them regularly is, you know, access to affordable finance has always been their pain point. So I'm delighted to say that Mr. Governor humbly and kindly approved to provide a fund of 5 billion at 0%.
Okay.
Wow. 0%?
Yes, 0%. And the Bank of Industry has matched that as well, equating to a cumulative fund of 10 billion naira.
Wow.
Now, when you put all that together, we also made sure that it's non-collateralized. We also ensured that the way of trying to redress some of those other points I mentioned about bringing them into the formal sector, they actually have to go through a bank. So we actually are working with a bank, Sterling Bank, in the initial pilot that we're actually rolling out here. And the whole essence of it is it's also giving them a 6-month moratorium. So they have a sort of a period where they don't have to pay anything back. Having said that, in order for them to qualify, they must register as a cooperative. So there was a lot of thought. So not only are we a listening government, we're also a thinking government, and we're also a transformational government as well, to try and make sure that we're actually redressing that imbalance, but doing it in a way that makes sense. Now, having said that, a number of people may sort of ask, oh, how are you going to mitigate that? We're also doing capacity building as well. So these MSMEs will come to us as a process, and I think I actually have the process here. It's very clear. They apply, we review through accelerators. Now, these accelerators will be working with these businesses to make sure that, A, they're going concern legitimately. They actually have their books, their stats, you know, the usual things. And they are actually absorbing part of the risk as well, hence the 9% rates that we've been able to achieve. And then after that, we then ensure that they are passed on to us, because we are not in the business of giving loans, we're actually a government, but we then register them as cooperatives, and then it goes back to our other partner, the Bank of Industry, who then essentially disperse the funds. Now, ensuring that dispersing that funds, there's also some thought that has gone into that, because we have to mitigate some of the risk as well. And in order to do that, one of the things we also ensured is the bank takes a percentage of the risk, the actual cooperative. So when you're part of a cooperative, which we're breaking down by sector, so we're focusing on agriculture, we're focusing on healthcare, we're focusing on manufacturing, we're focusing on circular economy, and I think creative industries, if I remember correctly. So we're also focusing on those sectors, because those are the sectors that we also want to grow. Remember I said you can't be driving a car without an engine. So we're also trying to make sure when we are looking at the other aspect, which now enables me to move into the other sector in terms of Lagos State Export Readiness Program, which is another program. You asked me, what are we doing? This is another program. How can we ensure that these businesses now are set up for success, and then the value chain and the backward integration of it can also be...
we can then have something to export.
I mean, this is, so, you know, when we talk about, can I? When we talk about...
Mamatu was...
Okay, so you've really gone in depth. I'm finding this very, very interesting, because I'm in the manufacturing sector.
Yes.
We are.
And I know that we are. And I know that we're, like, all these things you've mentioned is just so nice and everything. But at the end of the day, what I want to ask is, if we are not able to, the moratorium we gave is quite short.
6 months.
6 months.
They are going concerns. These are going concerns.
Not startups.
Okay, not startups.
No, going concerns. You mentioned it.
They're small and all. So
9%?
No, 6 months.
6 months moratorium.
I'm just being teased. I said it's at 9%.
Yeah.
Honestly. That's cool. That's really cool. So what I want to ask is it only financing you are going to be providing? What else? What other support are you going to be?
Great. I was just about to segue, into that. What else are we for capacity building? Okay. So one of the other aspects of any growing economy is to grow the GDP, and that's something that Mr. Governor is assiduously focusing on. And the other aspect of is also us increasing our IGR. Capacity building is one of those interventions. So we're actually going to be working with partnering with Afrexim Bank. Okay, to actually highlight at least 250 plus MSMEs that we want to really work with train, guide, mentor, provide market access. What are the other aspects of the curriculum? Quality assurance, compliance, a number of other facets in order for them to be able to export their products and support them as well. And so that's something that we're also going to be driving in the next 2 weeks. We're actually going to be calling for the applications for them to come and apply for that. And so if you think about what I just spoke about, those ones that we mentioned can also become part of that. And once they're part of our ecosystem, we continue to work with them and grow them as well.
Okay, so congratulations because it sounds so well thought out and domesticated for Lagos.
Yes.
And many times, you know, intentions may be noble, but because we haven't really put in the work in the planning, you know, we miss it. And it sounds like you have really taken the time to make sure that, you know, you do this well. But being human beings and being Nigerians, we know that there will be, human beings just have a way, you know, of, is it shortchanging the system sometimes? But what I've seen so far, it just seems like you have everything covered. But of course, until the when you roll out, we'll see if there are any challenges that you have already foreseen, or when it does happen, what are the steps that you've put in place to just sort of make sure that this isn't sabotaged just by bad behavior?
Well, there's a very clear and transparent framework in place. There are a number of key players in place. KPIs have been defined in order for us to monitor and evaluate. So in a year's time, we're going to come back and see what progress we have made with this. LASMECO, for instance, with the LASREP one, which is the Lagos State Export Readiness Program. That's something that we're partnering with Afrexim, who are subject matter experts. And we've set guidelines. So in order for you to even qualify, there are certain criteria you need to meet, which we'll verify and validate. Do you understand? For them to actually qualify for that. And then we're going to continue to monitor, mentor, and we have accelerators as well in between that are going to go back.
I wanted to ask you about, because many people are listening and trying to get in on that, on the initiative, the opportunity.
Yes.
So that, because we've gotten the opportunity to interview a few people that have enjoyed benefits of government initiative that they applied for. So we don't want Nigerians watching to assume this is just going to be one of those things, because like this, a few weeks back we interviewed a fashion designer and she mentioned that she got support
from the government.
She got support from the government and the impact it made on her business. So the question I would like to ask you is, someone watching right now who runs a small and medium, you already mentioned a solopreneur, MSME or SME, and they're trying to see how they can take advantage of the LASMECO as well as the LASEP. But it starts with the LASMECO. Yes, that's where the fund comes from.
The money.
What would you say will be who are the people that qualify for this? Are there like some basic things that you must have done to make you pre-qualify, and are there some basic things that disqualifies you?
Yes. Are you talking about LASMECO?
Yes.
LASMECO.
First and foremost, you actually have to be a going concern.
Which means you have an
existing business, yes. The second one is we will review. I mentioned that the framework, there's an accelerator program that is actually on a totally separate party, that's through the Sterling Bank. And they are the accelerators. They will review their business, they will review their accounts. They will actually work with them to strengthen and improve their business operations, their business proposal, their business strategy, because ultimately it's a loan, it's not a grant. They need to be set up for success. You have to pay back. And Sterling Bank has absorbed 50% of the risk. So it's in their interest to ensure that those that they put forward to us are actually strong.
Enough
now,
to pay back.
Back to your point, that is one way of mitigating that. Do you understand? They have to have their BVN, they have to have their NIN. They're going to actually domicile the funds in the bank account. So it's also a part of formalizing the informal sector. Remember I mentioned that. So we actually now have their data, and with data we can do a lot more in terms of support.
One question, please, because with initiatives like this, you would hear maybe the first time it goes, you just follow the directives, we apply, but then you always hear things like middleman coming in between. Oh, you need to pay someone who can help you get on. Yes, you pay facilitation fees and things like that. Are there steps in this whole process to make sure that the the businesses are protected from these middle people and these facilitators?
I think it's important that I mentioned earlier that Mr. Governor is a listening, thinking, and transformational governor.
Yeah.
And the whole essence of this is because we have listened. It is in our collective best interest that the GDP, I mean, Lagos is contributing more than 30% of the GDP. This success, collectively with all the other initiatives in Lagos State, will increase that. And it's in our collective interest for these businesses to thrive. So it's a win-win for everyone. And we've put in, I mean, this is a match. BOI has been sending out or rolling out this match funding exercise across other states. When it came to Lagos State, we sat down and thought about how we can do it in a way where it actually does achieve the desired outcome and they can actually access the funds.
Okay, so let me ask one question. The cooperative, you must be in a cooperative before you'll be able to access.
It's a mandatory.
Yeah. So what
is
are
there
the
any
requirements?
specific one? I think it's not even the requirements alone. Is there any? Do you have to be in an industry-related cooperative, or is there a cooperative put together for this particular project?
Okay, there are sectors. So remember I mentioned the word is transformational as well. So we're focusing on specific sectors, Agric. We're focusing on health. We're focusing on the creative industries. We're focusing on manufacturing.
So creative industries, that's entertainment, movies.
All of the above, they're all one bucket. So they are now going to be put into the different sectors that they actually
so they register in the cooperative.
So if you're in manufacturing, you'll be put in the manufacturing cluster. Do you understand? And so in order for you to access that fund, you know how cooperatives work, don't you? If you default, back to your earlier question, it affects everyone in that. So they will hold each other accountable as well. Do you understand?
So, Ma, I need to ask you, Industry and Trade Ministry, why do they put real estate aside all this matter? Because whenever we have conversations, especially with government intervention, and this is personal because I play in the real estate space and I also play in Agric, so I'm a bit selfish about the question, but please, there are many other people that are involved and they feel the same thing. Because I did a program with BOI and many people got funding. They said, oh, you're real estate, you cannot get. Then I went into farming and my hands, I've said it. The burning is still burning right now, but we're still doing it and I'm hoping to see how this initiative can help support my Agric. But real estate is the core of what we do. And we don't see a lot of government financial intervention for that industry yet. I know the number of people I employ and how many people real estate companies employ. The engineers get paid, the surveyors get paid, lawyers get paid, agents get paid, staff gets paid, realtors get paid. Like I did a presentation on it. 7 people get paid before the company makes money, and yet the government isn't putting funds into real estate companies. Rather, we're getting bashed with policies.
Thank you very much for that question. My colleagues in housing, physical planning, EGIS are really the key subject matter experts. But having said that, within my mandate, what I would like to mention is that we're also reviewing our Lagos State industrial policy. Now, in terms of reviewing that, it's important that we all understand that government cannot work alone. So we're working with a number of different private sector partners. Under my ministry, I head the Lekki Free Zone. And within that, there are a number of players there. And that Lekki Free Zone was set up, over 20 years ago under, when the Excellency, the President, was the Governor of Lagos. However, today, less than 40%, optimally, we're talking about 16.1 hectares of land, real estate. And businesses that want to come there, not all of them can afford to come and buy or pay for the land because it's actually in dollars. So having said that, what I have done within the ministry is to get all the players and harmonize them all into what we've called Project Operation Quadrant Ignite. So what we've tried to do is to work with all these players to get them to work together and try and make sure we're outside, almost like a public-facing front, where we're sharing with them the opportunities that are there. So you can have somewhere you can come in as a plug and play. You can buy, and we've set up a fund as well. So that fund, again, is to help businesses, MSMEs like yourself, come in and still set up rather than using all your funds to pay for the real estate. And that fund is still very much work in progress. I know you're going to now ask me how to get it, but we're working on that right now. And so it's one way of helping MSMEs, again, democratizing access. Absolutely. So I'm speaking within my own core area of influence, and I hope that's been able to answer your question.
I see that it might not necessarily be directly under your portfolio, because real estate is
no, but I've addressed it.
But you've addressed that
because
there's opportunity.
Yes. And I also have a number of industrial hubs that we actually have set up, and I want to partner with the private sector in order, for instance, the machinery to manufacture costs a lot. So what I'm trying to do now is work with a number of private sector partners who will come and buy the machinery. You want to come and manufacture, you come in and use the bits, pay for the machinery, use it, and go. So those are some of the things that we're also trying to do. We call them industrial hubs, enterprise hubs. And those are things that we have around.
Industrial, I've had things like that. Like
I've seen one too.
It's already working, and I'll come back again.
For now, let's go back to the launching. What we are launching.
So for people who are looking to join the cooperatives, what's the first step? Do they go, is there a website you go to check which of the cooperatives you're going to be able to join depending on your own?
So the launch has been completed. In the next few weeks, we're now actually going to run another campaign whereby we'll be inviting and calling for applications. So it's going to be across all the platforms. And they will be applying, and the structure, the guidelines, everything will be stated in the papers, in the radios, and obviously in our offices. You can physically come to the ministry.
We have to follow the news.
That's to say follow the news. Oh my goodness. One of the things I love about this administration, which is the one of Babajide Sanwo-Olu, is the women that he has handling specific portfolio. We've gotten the pleasure on this show to interview many of them, and it's very impressive. And it does a whole lot for, like I said, it's women we love. It does a whole lot for the community, because we need to see more young ladies need to see you. When they see you, hear you in this position, it inspires them to believe about what is possible. Are there things you're doing? I know that you're doing a whole lot, but are there things you're doing to also, outside this portfolio, official portfolio, on a personal level, to help other women, see the possibility of serving and growing their brand?
Yes, of course. Look, I've come from the private sector. I've done 26, 27 years. And even then, before I joined the public sector, I had a lot of people coming up to me, Folashade, please mentor me, Folashade. And there were so many, and I like to try and, quite frankly, give my best in everything that I do. And then I realized that I needed to sort of rethink how to do that. I set up a foundation called WIN, and it's Women Inspiring Impact Network. And the whole essence of that really is to be working with women to inspire them to be their best self and to really achieve indelible leadership. And that's something I've done for a number of years. I'm going to re-strategizing now that I'm in the public sector. But that's something I do. I also mentor. I go out and speak. And yes, I encourage and engage with women as best as I can. I support them as well. I'm wearing a number of my MSMEs outfits.
We see them on Instagram.
So yes, I am.
Awesome. This is not really a personal question. Well, not to your personal life, but it has to do with the fact that you've always been, or you've spent many years, as you said, in the private sector, and now you're in the public sector. What has been a mindset shift for you, you would say, in pushing policies out and in the way government either helps or slows down some of the ideas that you have brought to the table? Just so that people even understand maybe some of the things you have to, go through.
Okay, so look, I'm very humble. I believe none of us knows everything. I have had a very, very, consistent steep learning curve. But equally as well, I believe they have as well, those that I work with. And it's been a very good marriage, because what we're talking about is harmonizing the culture, mindsets, and shifts, and making sure we're all in alignment. And so one of the things that I did when I first got there was really to share that and explain to them that, what we're about to try and drive here as a Ministry of Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment is those 3 points I mentioned, ultimately ensuring that we alleviate poverty. Now, in order to do that, these are some of the things we need to do. However, in order to do that, everybody has to own the whole. And we have a sort of a tagline called take part, take pride, deliver excellence. And everybody now has keyed into that. So you won't have someone saying in commerce, oh, that's not my project. It's nothing to do with me. If we're doing anything now in the ministry, everybody owns it.
Take ownership.
And once we just celebrate holistically as well.
Awesome. That's our out of time.
Yeah, so there's one question I want to ask. Sorry, just quickly. Okay, so can we be in more than 2 cooperatives? Let me talk as in Nigeria. Can we be in more than 2? Because personally, I have a farm. So there's the agricultural.
It'll be a different business.
Then there's manufacturing. Wait,
which is a different business.
Then manufacturing. I'm going to be. I'm also in manufacturing.
Do you
so I'm
register
going to
as a
be
person
the
or just businesses?
And manufacturing.
Okay, look. As I said, every single application will be on merit. It's not on personality. We're about enabling businesses, nanos, solopreneurs to scale. So, as a solopreneur, we're encouraging you to scale. In order to scale, you need to try and accelerate as many as you can.
Yeah.
So if you legitimately come and you meet all the criteria and the guidelines,
why not?
We would get him. Thank you so much for
Let's go put our papers together.
Sharp. And that goes to every other person watching as well. Put your papers together so that you qualify. Thank you so much for joining us, Mrs. Folashade Ambrose. It's always interesting to hear you, and I'm definitely inspired. I will be applying. All of us are putting our papers together to apply and take advantage of the opportunity. That's what we can take on the show. We'll be seeing you tomorrow for another interesting edition of the show. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye.
Thank you.